In less than 48 hours, Channel 2's Election Watch Center will be jammed full with people, computer terminals, telephones, and cameras to bring you the fastest returns possible from all over the state after the polls close. This activity will bring to a close one of the most controversial and freewheeling political races in recent Tennessee history. It will clearly be the most expensive, and there are more than a few people who believe it could just as well have been wrapped up a month ago. It also turns out that just 2 days before the general election, the outcomes of several races are very difficult to predict. In this special 15-minute election preview, a rundown on the major statewide contests you will be deciding this Tuesday.
Sears Color TV sale is here. A great time to save $60 on this Sears 19-inch table model color TV with one button color. Enjoy all the new shows and all the games on this set that features a Super Chromix black matrix picture tube for rich, vivid color, automatic brightness control that adjusts to room light, and easy one-button color adjustment. Sears sale price is only $399.95. You save $60. Hurry to the Color TV sale now at a Sears store near you.
In the United States, have two candidates spent so much money to be governor. Between them, Jake Butcher and Lamar Alexander will have spent from $5 to $7 million to win a job that will pay $68,000 a year, plus the use of a spacious mansion on Curtiswood Lane, plus $2,000 a month for food and upkeep at the mansion, paid travel expenses, and something money can't buy, a permanent place in our history books. Financial disclosure statements show that Butcher has outspent Alexander 2 to 1. In both campaigns, most of the money is other people's money, not the candidates. The 1978 governor's race really began on May 27th, when Governor Ray Blanton called his supporters and local news reporters to the mansion to make an announcement.
At the end of this term, I'll have given 12 years out of my adult life to public service. And it's sad that I tell you that I've made up my mind not to seek it again.
No!
But
No!
This decision is probably the toughest I've ever made in my life.
The field of candidates had already been growing, but now the door was wide open. 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans, including 2 faces familiar from the 1974 governor's race. 2 men who had both lost to Ray Blanton. Jake Butcher from the 74 Democratic primary, Lamar Alexander from the general election. It was these 2 men who survived this year's bitter primary contest to face off on November 7th. It can be said of both Butcher and Alexander that their 1974 losses taught them some lessons. Lessons about organization, about financing, and about verbalizing the things that are on people's minds. They both benefited from psychological studies to determine just what Tennesseans were thinking about. Both men have opened up. Those who knew Lamar Alexander in 1974 and who have seen him in 1978 remarked that he doesn't seem to be the same person.
I'm going to ask Judge Horton to take this shirt. I hope it'll go for, I expect you to keep it for a couple of months because I think it'll be worth a lot more in 2 or 3 months. And I don't know how much this shirt will bring. I've not got many of them. But if you talk real nice to Jake as members of the Rotary Club, he's got more banks than I've got shirts, and maybe he'll give you a bank before it's all over.
Alexander this year is smoother, more relaxed, doesn't ruffle easily under pressure. He uses few notes in his speeches. His remarks reflect a well-developed line of reasoning. Alexander attributes much of the change to his walk across Tennessee, to the face-to-face contact with voters he made on that walk. Whatever it was, it made Alexander a far more effective campaigner this time. Jake Butcher also benefited from his 1974 loss. Butcher appears to be a bit nervous at times in a large crowd. He is not the polished speaker Alexander is, but he has mastered the art of campaign organization. In 1974, Butcher refused to debate his opponents. He avoided controversial questions on the advice of Deloche Walker, who has packaged many another candidate successfully. This year, Butcher, too, opened up. He debated. He confronted tough questions about his personal finances. The answers did not satisfy everyone, but Butcher's willingness to face the press and the public was in contrast to his defensive posture of 1974. In fact, some say Butcher started this campaign soon after his loss 4 years ago. building a better campaign organization, piling up political debts, which he could collect later, remaining active in party activity, and planning extensively for his 1978 bid. But Butcher says he didn't decide to run until last January. Butcher said when he announced his second try for governor that he would not be outspent. He hasn't been. He also refuses to be out-organized or out-advertised. The Butcher campaign has been like no other the state has ever witnessed in terms of sheer money and manpower. From the very beginning, part of the Butcher campaign strategy has been to humanize the candidate and to saturate the state with it.
I feel like I'm running for something. I am for bringing sound business practice to state government, to straightening out some of the mess government in Tennessee often finds itself in. And I'm for bringing back pride and integrity to government.
While the public has often asked for discussion of the issues that will face the next governor, the campaign has been one of side issues. Issues involving the present governor, images, press releases, style, media saturation. A comparison of the candidates' public stands shows very little, if any, significant difference between Butcher and Alexander. Both favor some form of capital punishment, favor a hard line on crime. Both are for better educational opportunities. Both are for continuing economic development. Both have taken stands against higher consumer loan interest rates. Both say trust in government is the most important issue, and each claims to be the man to restore that elusive quality in government leaders. Alexander has made a point of stressing that he will be a complete break from the last 4 years. Butcher has said he will build on the past 4 years' accomplishments. In other words, keep the best and chuck the rest. The U.S. Senate race once again features one candidate trying to pull out an upset. In Tennessee, that's not as difficult as it might seem. In 3 of the last 4 U.S. Senate races, there has indeed been a major upset. In 1966, Howard Baker defeats Frank Clement. 1970, Bill Bruck upsets Albert Gore. 1976, Brock in turn is toppled by Jim Sasser. And now it's Jane Eskin. If she wins, it would not only be the major upset of the day, but Mrs. Eskin would also become the first woman elected outright to the U.S. Senate. Despite polls that show Senator Baker in the lead, Jane Eskin's staff believes the Baker lead is still thin enough to overcome.
I know that the White House has inquired of the Senate leadership about the possibility of a joint session.
In 12 years, Senator Howard Baker has gone to the top. As Senate Minority Leader, he is a man the President must reckon with. It was Baker who helped President Carter get enough support to pass the Panama Canal treaties. Baker who gave support to put through the energy and tax bills. His Senate leadership role and growing seniority are Baker's strong suits.
In politics, there are a lot of tough calls, whether it's in Congress or in a Republican or Democratic convention. You do the best you can.
But his voting record has become one of his opponent's campaign issues. According to Democrat Jane Eskin, Baker talks and votes one way in Washington, but talks another way when he comes home to the East Tennessee hills. She has stressed that theme, among others, in a series of cleverly written television and newspaper advertisements, and in her speeches.
He felt he was too busy to make sure that the Tellico Dam had the support in the Senate that it had to have. Nevertheless, he was not too busy only a few hours later to appear on national television to accuse Democrats of being unresponsive to the people.
This is Jane Eskin's first statewide campaign, but she has been politically involved for several years, mostly in the background of Democratic Party politics, as a delegate, a party worker, a campaign aide. In fact, she began this campaign on candidate Bill Bruce's staff, but early on jumped into the contest herself, outspent her opponents 2-1, defeated Bruce in the primary, only to discover that party loyalty doesn't mean a lot when it comes to facing Howard Baker. For example, when President Carter visited Nashville, he publicly endorsed Eskin, but his White House aides stressed that Carter was not campaigning against Senator Baker. In addition, for much of this campaign, Baker was in Washington, being a senator, making headlines, seemingly ignoring Eskin.
I believe that after you have the opportunity to serve, you represent Republicans, Democrats, rich and poor, independents, black and white, east and west, and you cannot make a difference, and I will not make a difference. I will represent everyone to the best of my ability, fairly and impartially. Now,
to cap his abbreviated re-election campaign, Baker has again rolled out the steam-driven Clinchfield #1, a 96-year-old locomotive pulling the Baker party on a 26 whistle-stop tour from Bristol to Memphis. Baker used it in 1972 on his way to victory over Ray Blanton. Both candidates are well-financed and are aggressive. A Baker victory would enhance whatever presidential ambitions Baker has, and Eskin victory in this year of upsets is certain to make national headlines.
Daddy, isn't there anything fun to do today?
Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, the greatest show on earth. It will thrill you and tempt you, startle you and surprise you. The most spectacular entertainment sensation you'll ever experience.
Coming to the Municipal Auditorium November 15th through 19th. Tickets available at the Auditorium box office, Central Tick, both protocols, Wizards, and Discount Rec.
We did it before, and we'll do it again.
The Tennessee, on August 6, 1978, Channel 2 had Judd Collins, the veteran news journalist, supported by Governor Ray Blanton, who seemed to have a network of election sources all across the state, who fed him interesting precinct results and generally seemed to keep that station ahead and better informed than the competitors. There was more hard fact and less flurry on Channel 2.
Join Judd Collins and Governor Ray Blanton for the 1978 election coverage, Tuesday, November 7th, beginning at 6 on Channel 2.
Long step down from the big money, the Goldfish Bowl atmosphere, and the public attention of the gubernatorial and Senate races to the contest for Public Service Commission. That's the other statewide race to be decided Tuesday. By all standards, it has been overshadowed by the more glamorous races. A recent debate between Democrat candidate Keith Bissell and Republican Tom Jensen in Clarksville drew less than 50 people. The race is for the East Tennessee seat on the PSC, being vacated by Bob Clement, who chose to run for governor rather than for re-election. Both men have served in the State House of Representatives. What Howard Baker has been in the U.S. Senate, Tom Jensen has been in the State House, the Republican minority leader, and a vocal one. A real estate broker by profession, Jensen